The rarefied air of the Mile High City, Denver, Colorado. Today, the Professional Women's Hockey League takes over Ball Arena. Stop number 3 of the league's takeover tour. Montreal Victoire and the Minnesota Frost ready for an altitude adjustment as we look at the starting lineups. Brought to us by Scotiabank, proud to be the official bank of the PWHL. And between the pipes for Minnesota will be Maddie Rooney. Keppel and Ambrose on the blue line. Elaine Shuley is going to get the start. Her first start since December 21st at Toronto as Anne-Renee Desbiens gets the day off. And Elaine Shuley, you know, even though she's only played a couple of games, she's been outstanding in those two.
Pretty good stats here, a chance to play a good Minnesota Frost team. And as we mentioned, on the other side of things, Maddie Rooney, who's carried most of the load for the Frost this season.
This takeover tour, big success in Seattle and Vancouver. Over 19,000 fans in Vancouver, now in Denver. These fans are fired up to watch the PWHL in action as we're underway at Ball Arena. Minnesota in the purple uniforms, the defending champions, the Walter Cup champions, and they'll carry it in deep with Kava taking it in behind Chula. Popped off the stick of Kava. Heisey to support the puck. She's stapled up against the wall by Youngbloom. And turning it over back to Montreal. This is Kristen O'Neill. Points in 2 of her last 3 games. She'll dump it in as Montreal will make a line change. Just getting started here in this takeover tour contest as Minnesota tries to jump Montreal and get back into first place. Just a 1-point separation between these two teams at the top of the standings. And Corey Chevery, I think, is very pleased, Alexis, with how this Montreal team has been playing.
Well, and what I think I find most fascinating talking to her before today's matchup is she said we haven't even hit our best game yet, which is really promising that we're getting wins, we're playing this well, and I still think we have more to give. That's always a great sign, and we'll see what kind of performance she gets from her team against the Frost here today.
Shot from the point, that is Lee Steckline. That left-hand shot kicked out of there by Julie. Lee Steckline, first point of the season came last week against Boston. More of a defensive defender. Here comes the captain for Minnesota, Coyne Schofield, tried to flip it out in front. Shisheva trying to settle it down, but Montreal will bring it back the other way. This is Jen Gardner popping it in deep, trying to follow the puck, but taken away by Minnesota. And Shepers will get it back out to center. Knocked down there at the checkered line by Anna Shelbin. And now Minnesota gets it back. This is Claire Budarak hauling it in. 25-year-old former Minnesota State Maverick. This is one of 2 games on the schedule today. The other game in the league already has gone final. New York beat Toronto 1-0 in overtime. Jesse Eldridge had the game winner. We have been seeing a lot of overtime games lately in this league.
We have a lot of extra hockey as of late. The Minnesota Frost have been involved in some. Montreal has been involved in some, and another one here today, just that 1-0 victory. And now New York tied with the Ottawa Charge with 14 points apiece on the season.
This is Maggie Flaherty now from a shallow angle. The save made by Chuli. On the rebound, that was Katie Knoll. With that shot. And now Montreal back the other way. Numbers 3-on-1. They score! Catherine Dubois, who has said during the last couple of weeks she just loves this takeover tour travel. She doesn't mind being on the road, and she gets the first goal of this hockey game. First
goal of the hockey game and the first goal of her PWHL season here. What a play from the corner. And Montreal had 2 players out front, DeGeorge and Dubois. And Dubois finds this on her stick. Melissa Channel-Watkins takes the passer in the corner and just can't get in front of the pass to Dubois. And Rooney kind of deep in her net because she's playing that pass coming. A lot of net to shoot out and to shoot in, and Dubois tallies her first of the season. A big first period goal here. Both these teams pretty stingy first period teams, Clay. Minnesota only has allowed 6 goals on the season coming into tonight of the first period, and Montreal has only allowed 5. So both these teams, you don't often see them giving up first period goals, and Montreal gets a big one here in Denver.
As you said, first goal of the year for Dubois, the Quebec native. The assist going to Dara Gregg, now in front of the Minnesota net again in the blue paint. Finally a whistle. Montreal scoring at 2:33 of the opening period. Gregg the primary assist. And Minnesota, they've been known for scoring first in 6 of the 9 games coming into today, but they're going to be playing from behind here early as Montreal, as we said, playing good hockey. They've won 6 of their 8 games on the year.
And when Montreal scores first, they've gotten points in every single one of those matchups. It's happened 4 times coming into today, so they've had success when they can find that score sheet first, as they've done here today.
May Batherson will track after it for Minnesota, trying to shove it along the boards here. Battle along the kick plate. It comes to the stick of Claire Thompson. Thompson trying to move it along. There is Ken Klee, who makes his home in Denver. Played 1 season with the Avalanche. Here's Kava. She's going to wait for reinforcements. Drops it back. Britta Curl in front. And she was kind of pushed out of the way there by Claire DeGeorge, the product of Bemidji State. Now this might be a penalty on Montreal. Indeed it is. And Minnesota's going to have a chance to get the equalizer on the power play.
And that's what happens when you drive to the net. Britta Curl draws the penalty. We'll get the call here from the official. So as you see hooking the call, another look at it, and kind of a bouncing puck here on the side of the net, and Curl trying to get to it and is bothered on the way in. So as you mentioned, Minnesota a chance now to tie this game up, and Dubois, who got the only goal of the game so far, will now sit in the box for a couple minutes.
This power play brought to us by Royale Tiger Towel Paper Towel. Power through tough messes. Minnesota 1 for 11 the last 3 games on the power play. 5 for 25 on the year. Claire Thompson to Heisey. Big blast. Blocked by the traffic in front. Got the rebound and now swings it back. Curl has to hitch back to go get that puck, and Minnesota will have to tag up.
And Minnesota's power play was doing well for a little while, and it slipped in the last handful of games, so they could use a power play goal here to get their groove back.
Short-handed O'Neill flips it toward the net. As Montreal has a couple of jailbreak goals this season by Poulan and O'Neill, and O'Neill making a bid there. Good penalty kill so far by Montreal. 50 seconds gone by on this first advantage of the hockey game. Rink-wide pass to that empty wing for Minnesota, and Montreal will take advantage and slide it back the length of the ice.
And it's just amazing how much time you can kill with just a little bit of offensive zone time on the penalty kill. Even a shot or two can kill seconds off the clock, and Minnesota already less than a minute to work with.
Charging in, Shisheva tried to feed a pass for Himralova, who was trailing on the play. Montreal spits it out of the zone. 40 seconds to go in this power play time. Himralova nudges it in. O'Neill there to play it again for the Victoire. 30 seconds to go. Minnesota trying to set up. Here's Sophie Jakes, who they've missed so much in power play situations. Jakes to Himralova. Himralova tried to feed the middle, and now trying to kick it to keep it alive, but Montreal is going to knock it out of the zone. Waning seconds of his first power play of the hockey game. And
good effort by Himralova there. She had her stick all tied up, so she had no choice but to try to get a skate on it. It just couldn't get it over cleanly, and the Montreal Victoire able to evacuate the zone again.
Dubois out of the penalty box. Montreal, good penalty kill, back to full strength, and it stays 1-0 Montreal as we approach the midway point of this first period. Keppel will ring the boards for Wildren. 25-year-old from Hudson, Wisconsin, 5th-round pick of the Badgers. They get it to the Minnesota line. This is Steckline now. Steckline hands off for May Batherson. Up ahead now, Budorak will punch it in. Doesn't stay deep long. Taven gets it out. Now Curl trying to cut around Taven. Gets a shot on and just went wide on the far post.
I don't know how to describe it other than she skates so angry, Clay. I mean, it's just really hard to keep her from getting where she wants to go. And she's either going to force you to draw a penalty, she's going to get, at the very least, a halfway decent shot off. And she just is always driving towards the net. Another great opportunity by Curl there.
Britta Curl, who had the overtime game winner against Boston 10 days ago, trying to make some noise, but it was actually Kristen O'Neill and Catherine Dubois getting the first goal for Montreal.
Well, welcome back to Mall Arena, where Montreal has a 1-0 lead over Minnesota.
Rooney trying to pick up her 5th win of the year right now in a 5-way tie for first in the league with those 4 victories.
And when Minnesota played Montreal back in that home opener last season at the XL Energy Center, it was Rooney who came away with that shutout. It was the only non-one-goal game that these two teams have played, was that 3-0 victory by Minnesota way back at the start of last season.
And we've got a 1-goal game right now. Knoll carries in for Minnesota, has her pocket picked. Montreal trying to break out of the zone. It's Kayla Barnes who swings it across. Back to the Minnesota line. Channel Watkins up along the near wall. And now Heisey finding some room, and it's ramped up off a stick and out of play. Catherine Dubois with that first goal of the game. And, you know, they did take the penalty in this period, but Montreal has been playing very disciplined hockey. And when we were talking to Corey Chevry before the game, just pleased with the discipline. And this is a defense-first team. She will tell you that. But she's got to love being ahead right now, playing from in front against a powerful offensive team like Victoire.
Absolutely. They seem very dialed in right now, very focused. And we talked to Coach Chevry about balancing the business and fun of a trip like this, where they're a part of the first handful of takeover tour games. They've already got a couple under their belt. And she said, hey, we set expectations early. There's been no issue balancing the business and fun of these trips. And you can see that in the way they've performed in the first few games and already here today in Denver.
Montreal starting today 1 point ahead of Minnesota in the standings, and off the draw, Minnesota gets the equalizer. And it's going to be Britta Curl, who's had a really good first period, tying this one up at 1.
Well, those shots off the draw can be so tricky for a goaltender because you don't always expect the shot to come that quickly. And this is why faceoff wins are so key, Clay. The win right back to Curl. Curl wastes no time and fires this one home from the top of the circle, and Julie gets beat. It's 1-1, and Minnesota gets a much-needed goal to get back into this one after giving up the early goal. And to nobody's surprise, it's Britta Curl again, first on the team in goal. She picks up her 5th here of the season.
She scored against Montreal on the 28th when Minnesota lost that game in St. Paul, but you're right, she has had a really good game today, a really good start to her season. 2nd round pick from Wisconsin.
And another assist on the season for Taylor Heisey. She had 6 coming into today. That marks number 7. She's been a key piece of playmaking.
Minnesota staying busy here in the offensive end. Low shot, deflected. Montreal works it back to center. Puck goes airborne. Steckline slaps it down. As Minnesota has even things at 1 apiece. First game away from St. Paul since December 22nd, a 4-3 shootout win at New York. They have not been away from home much. Meanwhile, Montreal is in its 3rd straight takeover tour game. Seattle, Vancouver, now Denver. At center. Played to the Minnesota line. This is LaBelle trying to move it along here for Montreal. Tied up. Comes to the stick of Claire Thompson. Thompson, 10 points, tied for the league lead in that category coming into the day. Now Montreal's going to dump it in toward Rooney. She'll steer it away with the paddle. Thompson locked up against the wall. Coming over here is Claire DeGeorge. Murphy goes down in a heap, and the puck pops loose. Montreal can't hold the zone. Anna Wilgren sought Hopper's stick, and Montreal will have to regroup back in their own end. Coming back through the middle, this is Kayla Barnes, one of 8 Buckeyes from Ohio State taken in last year's draft. California native. And 5th overall in that draft. It's knocked down in front. Knoll will march it back to the blue line and slide it through the neutral zone. 7.5 to go here, first period. Tied at 1 as Britta Curl has evened things. First goal of the game for Minnesota. Skitter back into the Minnesota end.
You talked about how Minnesota hasn't allowed the first goal many times this season, but when they have, they've actually fared well play. They only have 1 regulation loss in 3 games where they have allowed the first goal, so they have found ways to battle back in those few instances that they've allowed their opponent to get on the score sheet first.
There's another thing too about Minnesota here, playing close games, finding ways to win. Really speaks to the character of the club.
It's a sign of a good team because not every game's going to be easy, not every game's going to be fun, but when you can find ways to come out on top, even when things aren't going your way or you're playing a really tough opponent, that's what makes a good team, and Minnesota has done that. 2 of those overtime games happened in the last 3 games, so Minnesota's played a lot of extra hockey as of late.
Pass missed the target. It's going to slide through. They're going to wave off the icing. Montreal will start it back. Abby Boreen has it taken away by her former teammate Lee Stecklein. Barnes tries to hand it off to Wilgren. Kelly Panic tried to come in and frustrate that play, but Montreal's able to break out. Another missed pass. Minnesota has it again, back into the Montreal zone. Shisheva lost it. Now dumped in to the Victoire zone. Under 6 minutes to go in the period. Here's Stecklein, long drive from the blue line, and that goes wide of the right post. We've seen Stecklein, he doesn't have a lot of points on the year, but in the last few games, Alexis, it seems like she's trying to get more pucks toward the net.
Well, she's such a good facilitator in that way. I mean, she really can assess the zone well, and she doesn't always get credited with the assist, but oftentimes it's her who sets up the play.
Montreal's going to make a line change. Montreal scored 2 first-period goals Wednesday night against Toronto. Grant Mentis and Dalton, and then they never looked back. That 4-2 win in Vancouver. Michaela Grant Mentis had a goal and an assist Wednesday in Vancouver. And she has been one of the better players for the Victoire this season. Started last year in Ottawa, was released. And Montreal signed her in March, and she seems to be getting better every game.
Well, she had 5 points in 13 games last year. She already has 5 points in 8 games this year. So she's had a really good start to this season. Seems to have found her groove here with this Montreal team.
And a curl backhand. Minnesota gets it in. Wilgren weaving through neutral ice. Long range shot toward Rooney. Montreal takes it back. Sheldon played it across. Now good steal by Minnesota at the blue line, but again Montreal brings it right back. Wilgren will dump it in. Check that. That's Taven. Taven followed the puck into the corner. Minnesota gets it back to the blue line. Battle for it along the wall. There's Abby Boreen to lift it, and it's going to get up and out of play. So we stop here. Late in the first period in a 1-1 game. Goals by Dubois and Curl, even in Denver. Having a little fun with us. Great crowd at Ball Arena in Denver. Another Royale Tiger Towel power play. Second for Minnesota. Shots are even at 7 apiece. One-timer, Jake's right on, stopped by Julie.
Great shot, and that's why you love to have her back in the lineup. And she seems so far like she has not missed a beat either offensively or defensively. Great sign for the Frost.
This is the 5th game of the year for Sophie Jakes, and it looks like she's back to mid-season form. Already 30 seconds gone by. This power play. And fanning on that shot in front was Panic. Minnesota keeps it alive in the zone. Stecklein. Down for Kelly Panic. The former Gopher moving in. Shot, save, rebound, jamming at it. There is Coyne Schofield. Another shot that didn't get through, and it's kicked out of the zone by Montreal.
Well, much better effort so far on this power play for the Minnesota Frost. They're getting shots through to the net, and they all haven't been perfect, but at least they're trying to make Julie make some saves here, and we'll see if they can get one behind Julie in the next 45 seconds here.
It's been a minute since the last Minnesota power play goal. It was Brooke McQuigg who scored it against Boston about 10 days ago. Curl, shot, save, another rebound, loose, in the corner. Montreal trying to clear, can't. Just over 2 minutes to go in the period. 25 seconds to go in this Minnesota player advantage. Heisey lurking, shot, kicked out of there by Chuli. Here's Thompson settling it down inside the blue line. Curl feeds the middle. Cava now with it. Cava back to Heisey. Final seconds to this Minnesota power play. Michaela Cava running out of time. Off the skate. McQuigg now trying to cycle it back, and that's it. Power play is over. Montreal with another effective kill, and here they come. Laura Stacey fresh out of the box, a shot, and Rooney with the pad save.
You could see those fresh legs churning from a mile away. She got out of the box and wanted to right her wrong, taking that penalty, and forces Maddie Rooney to make a quick pad save as the penalty expires.
Laura Stacey points in 3 of her last 5 games. Two-time Canadian Olympian. The player with just an amazing resume. Here's a chance for Budarak. It just ended up on her tape at a point-blank spot. Under a minute to go in the period. Channel Watkins keeps it in. Nobody there on that right wing. Montreal is able to cop it out of the zone. 45 seconds to go in the period. Budarak slides it ahead. Minnesota will dump it in and chase. Chuli out of her net. Gets it across. Here's Erin Ambrose. Ambrose right wing. Stretch pass for Dubois off her tape. Minnesota gets it back. They're going to rush the ice here. 20 seconds to go in the period. Coyne Schofield fed it back, tried to get the return pass in the slot. Shot from Steckline. That hit a body. It was Coyne Schofield down on the ice. 5 seconds to go in the period. And now a whistle and a penalty with 2 seconds to go in the first.
And these are the kind of penalties that frustrate a coach. An offensive zone penalty late in the game. Tripping is going to be the call late in the period, I should say. So a tripping penalty here. Let's take another look how it happened along the boards. And Shishova just gets the stick in the skates. That's an easy call for any official. And Montreal won't really have much to work with here in this period, but they'll get a chance to maybe retake that lead at the start of the second.
Yeah, the Montreal power play has been desperately seeking a goal. It's been a long drought. They've had the most opportunities in the league, the fewest goals. So Royale Tiger Towel power play, and what a sprawling save by Rooney as the period comes to an end. Catherine Dubois got the first goal of the hockey game for Montreal. Her first of the year. And Britta Curl answering for Minnesota. Rachel Toss is going to talk with Britta in our first intermission. We're back in Denver. Montreal won, Minnesota won after 20.
Now Minnesota will have to try to kill off the rest of this penalty as Shishova takes that late period tripping call. And now Montreal will have a chance to try to get that lead back they had to start the game.
Here we go in the second. Just 10% on the power play over the course of the season. The Montreal Victoire last in the league. See if they can get the go-ahead goal here. Another Royale Tiger Towel power play. Here's Laura Stacey, who took a penalty herself earlier in the game. Off to Poulin. Poulin, top of the circle. Swings it back. This is Barnes, Kayla Barnes. Gardner holding, looking for a lane shot. Blocker saved by Rooney. Barnes will hold it in on the right wing. Drops it down into the corner for Barnes, who takes a check up against the wall. And a minute gone by in this advantage for the Victoire. Poulin off to the top of the circle. Now Barnes feigns a shot. Here's Gardner again. Poulin across. And now Abby Barine comes on the ice, and her shot hits a stick and goes up off the protected mesh.
We'll see what the status is of her, but Clay, no Laura Stacey for the Montreal Victoire is a big, big loss.
Down low, there's a chance, pushed wide of the net by Catherine Dubois, looking for her second goal of the game. Yeah, Stacey's such an offensive weapon, a power forward that, you know, obviously is big on special teams. 20 seconds to go in the power play time for Montreal. Shot, saved, loose, and diving back was Rooney, and they're going to wave that off. Still loose in the blue paint, and Rooney is going to get the whistle. Boy, there was a yawning net, and Montreal couldn't drive it home.
And I don't know how that puck ended up back in front of Maddie Rooney, but she's not going to ask any questions and just cover that up. Here's the initial shot, gets deflected on the way in, and then chaos ensues. Wide open net, Maddie Rooney's facing the wrong direction. She has no idea where that puck is, and somehow Barine can't get her stick on that puck. She would have loved to have that opportunity back to score on her former team. And Maddie Rooney is able to find that puck in front of her and cover it up. Her stick was knocked loose. That was about as chaotic of a sequence for a goaltender as you can get.
Final seconds of the power play, and Minnesota's back to full strength as Rooney gloves that one. Past the 2-minute mark of period number 2. Let's see who can get the next one. Minnesota will get it back through center. Good speed for Kendall Coyne-Schofield. Flips it to the front. Trailing on the play was Steckline, who was pinching down. Quickly back. Poulin, a shot. Save. Rooney left a rebound out there. Nobody was on the near wing side for Montreal. Now 3-on-1 if they hurry. Minnesota coming back. Shot. And another save by Chuli.
Little end-to-end action.
Drive, Shishaba. That hit a defender. Swept to the blue line. Steckline holds it in. Coyne-Schofield now. As the official hops out of the way. Kendall feeds it into the corner. Gardner able to muscle it out of the zone. Actually, that was LaBelle. Now back to the blue line. Minnesota gains the zone. This is Katie Knoll. Katie Knoll looking from Northeastern. Down low for Himralova. Bryant out of the circle. Back to Himralova, the former St. Cloud State Husky. Batherson a drive, didn't get through. This is LaBelle who will start it back for Montreal. Alexandra LaBelle scored her first goal of the season against the Frost back on December 28th. This is Katie Taven, former star at Quinnipiac. Scoots through to Rooney, and she'll hold on with 16:08 to go in the second. Off the faceoff, Taven, another long shot. Kind of skitters wide of the net after it hit a skate. Now Heise, the quarterback to break. Here's Kava on the near side. Out of her reach. She gets it back. Pope checked off her stick. And now Youngbloom will get it out of the zone. We've got a delayed penalty called now with 15:45 to go.
So hooking here will be the call, and it's going to be Michaela Kava who will take a seat in the box. Here's a look at it, and in on the hands there of O'Neill. Another easy call for the official. So Minnesota, a good penalty kill to start this second period, but now they'll be tested again, and you're playing with fire a little bit, Clay, when you keep giving a really good team a chance on the power play.
Another Tiger Towel power play as Poulin gets the first shot of this advantage. Shrugged off there by Rooney. Another shot from the circle. That was Youngbloom. Montreal had a couple of shots on the last power play. This one has better teeth to it so far. Blocked there by Channel Watkins. Tries to clear the zone for Minnesota, but Montreal holds it. Push there is Gardner. Trying to keep it alive from behind the net. Claire Dalton. Dalton falls to a knee. Able to hand off to Jen Gardner. Now they'll set up. 45 seconds gone by on this advantage. Marie-Philippe Poulin drops it back. Drive. Gardner hit a body. And Minnesota's able to clear.
Well, a good start to the power play for Montreal, but a good job as well by the Minnesota penalty killers to get in the way of shots.
Youngbloom. Pass slipped. She's able to regroup. 50 seconds to go in the advantage. Ambrose down low. Borina driving. There's Claire Thompson doing her job defensively. Aaron Ambrose again. Shisheva trying to distract her. Held in by O'Neill. Down in the corner. Borine up top for Ambrose. Far circle. Down low. Trying to jam it on is O'Neill. And it's played to the corner harmlessly. Minnesota will get back into a defensive structure. 15 seconds to go. Here's a drive. Off the side of the net. Minnesota's able to clear. 10 seconds remaining on the power play.
What a great penalty killing shift by Claire Thompson. She had her fingerprints all over that penalty kill, and even at times from her knees trying to make the play, and eventually helps get that puck out of the zone. Very effective work by the young defender.
So Montreal 0 for 2 on the power play. A couple of great chances here in the second period to regain the lead. We stay tied at 1. You know, it's been a physical hockey game too, Alexis. A lot of bumping, a lot of tight checking, especially on the wall. And we've had some power plays, we've seen some penalties, but I don't think the officials have been overzealous calling too much. By the way, Montreal 3 shots on that last power play. And here come the Victoire.
And Minnesota spent essentially 4 of these first 7 or so minutes killing penalties, so they haven't had a chance to work in the offensive zone much yet this period.
Michaela Grant-Mentis swings it back to Wilgren at the blue line. Turned over. Minnesota starts it back. McQuigg has taken off her skates by Grant-Mentis, and this is going to be a penalty on Michaela. So Minnesota will have a power play when we come back to Denver in a tie hockey game.
Montreal penalty, number 18, Michaela Grant-Mentis, 2 minutes 4:20. Time of the penalty, 7 minutes 33 seconds of the second period.
Drive down low. Minnesota on the power play. Another Tiger Towel power play. Minnesota with a chance to take the lead, but Montreal able to clear.
And even better for Minnesota, you take Michaela Grant-Mentis off the ice, one of the best players on this roster for the Montreal Victoire. So it's that double whammy where you get the power play advantage and you take a really good player off the ice on the other side of things.
Here's Heisey. No look pass to Thompson. Heisey. One-timer, drive, rebound, cleared to the near wall and held in by Taylor. Heisey swings it across. Curl drops it down for Kava, right on the doorstep, and she's denied.
Nice little pass down low. Kava just can't get it to go.
This is a good-looking power play for Minnesota. Still almost a minute left on it. Drive to the corner. Now Heisey will gather it up, move it to the circle, swings it to the slot. Kava touched it. They get it back to Thompson. Heisey again, motors in. This is Kelly Panic now, number 12 in purple. Half minute to go in the power play for Minnesota. Game tied at 1. Kelly Panic looking for a lane. Drops it down. Shisheva, a good pass, and it was bouncing a little bit for Jakes. Now here's Shisheva again, 15 seconds to go in the advantage step line. Here's another one-time blast, and it was blocked by Caleb Barnes. They got it to the blue line, not out. Shisheva, another shot. Blocker safe, they score. Sophie Jakes, in her return, gives Minnesota the 2-1 lead.
What an effort by the Minnesota Frost on that power play. They kept shooting, kept cycling, kept shooting, kept cycling, and in the waning seconds of this power play, they find the back of the net. Shisheva with the blast, a juicy rebound out to the circle for Sophie Jakes, and a player like that with a wide open net play is not going to miss often, and Sophie Jakes in her first game back, an immediate impact. And what an effort by Minnesota. I was wondering if they were going to find the back of the net on this power play, because I was going to say, an impressive but ineffective power play, you can only tout that for so long. Eventually, you have to find the back of the net. And Minnesota, the first power play tonight, not great. They started moving in the right direction in subsequent power plays and are now rewarded with a goal here. Sophie Jakes gives Minnesota their first lead of the day.
First goal of the year for Sophie, who got out to a really good start. Before the injury, she had 3 assists in her first 4 games. And now to get her back, and it looks like she is not just back, but she is at the top of her game. This is going to be a big boon for the Minnesota Frost as they lead it now 2-1. Under 10 minutes to go, second period, past the halfway point of the hockey game.
Yeah, Jakes has fit in seamlessly back into this lineup. Sometimes a player comes back from injury, especially a long one like that, and it takes them a period or two, or maybe even a game or two, to get readjusted to the game speed, get readjusted to the lineup, and especially a day like this where you're on neutral site, right? A lot of excitement surrounding this game. And Sophie Jakes, if you're watching for your first PWHL game today, you wouldn't even know that she's missed the last handful of games. That's how impressive she's been today.
Did a great career at Ohio State. Patty Kaz winner, offensive defender. As that was fed in front by Dubois, hit a shin all the way back to the Montreal line where Taven will regroup. This is Katie Taven through the middle. Head up, will just drive it in deep. Rooney out of her net.
And because Montreal is a defense-first team, as we talked about, that can make even-strength goals hard to come by. So that's a huge power play goal for the Minnesota Frost.
Hacking at it, clear to George for Montreal. And this is not going to be icing as Rooney decides she's going to take the face-off in her own zone. We're going to step aside in Denver as Sophie Jakes welcome back to the Frost, giving Minnesota the 2-1 lead. Yeah, they're still missing Grace Zumwinkle, who was their leading scorer from a year ago, another big-time offensive weapon, but getting Sophie back is huge for this offense. Coming in, averaging over 3 goals per game, tops in the league up until New York passed him earlier this week.
And Zumwinkle was practicing this week, but not on this trip with the Minnesota Frost, so she's getting close to a return. That'll be nice to have her back when she's finally back in this lineup. Still missing Petrie, who's out with an injury on long-term IR.
Montreal coming in. Rooney forced to make an easy save there. It's going to slide all the way back into the Montreal end.
But you'll take the baby steps if you're Minnesota with how many players they were missing. Just to have Hensley backing up tonight, have Jakes back in the lineup, those are all positive steps for the Minnesota Frost.
Here's Kava off that long lead pass. Sent that toward the net, but well wide. Now Montreal coming back. Murphy put on the brakes. Long shot. It's off the back of the net. Kind of hanging up on the mesh there at the net for a while. Now a drive from Ambrose that goes wide of the right post. Minnesota gets it out. Collision at the checkered line. Now some Opportunity, some room here. Grant Mentis to the corner for LaBelle. And now Keppel. Muffled shot. And we're back at the center now with Heisey just pushing it in behind the Montreal net. Alexis Pearson playmaking. Rachel Toss working ringside in Denver. 6.5 to go, second period. As McQuigg muscles her way toward the goal mouth. It's broken up, and back the other way comes Montreal with Dubois starting it out. Another delayed penalty. This one's going to be against Minnesota.
So Minnesota now with a 2-1 lead are going to have to kill another penalty. It's a hooking call. And in my opinion, kind of an unnecessary one by Budarak there. Minnesota, a good chance. I beg your pardon, slashing the call. Minnesota, a good chance on the offensive side of the ice. And then as Montreal is trying to evacuate the zone, Budarak takes the penalty. So now Montreal a great opportunity to tie this game up after trailing for the first time tonight.
Minnesota penalty, number 7.
Another Tiger Towel power play. Power through tough messes.
13 minutes, 43 seconds in the second period.
Kayla Barnes. Poulin. Just a blistering shot. That wrister was blocked. Kayla Barnes again. Fakes the shot. Hands off. Gardner got it down low. That was tipped toward the net by Youngblood. Barnes winds up and fires it well wide. Off the end boards, and Minnesota gets to the line, but not out. 45 seconds gone on this power play for Montreal. Jen Gardner swings, and it's in. That was a lucky goal, so to speak, for Montreal. It hit a couple of skates, ends up behind Rooney, but Montreal's going to take it. It's tied at 2.
Well, when they say put pucks on net, they don't usually mean from behind the net, but sometimes that will work too. As this puck is fired out front, it goes off Mae Batherson's skate in front of Maddie Rooney, and that's going to give a lot of cross players nightmares. And this one just sneaks by that post as well, and Maddie Rooney not expecting that shot to come from where it did, and Batherson just trying to deflect it away from the net. It ends up going the wrong direction, and somehow this game is tied up at 2 apiece. And Clay, that's why they don't ask how, they ask how many, and Montreal now has 2 to show for it. And this game gets reset now here with about 5.5 to go in the second period.
Jen Gardner on the power play. Her first goal since the season opener. The BC native had a great time in the takeover tour game in Vancouver, back in her own city. And now she's got the tying goal here as Minnesota's buzzing around the goal mouth. Good job by Elaine Chuli to stay focused and keep it up. Boy, special teams have really played a role in this game.
That's how it goes sometimes. That's why it's always such a big talking point, because often you can look to the special teams numbers to see where something went right or wrong for a team, and a power play goal for Montreal gets them back in this one.
Alexandra LaBelle lugs it through the logo at center, tries to get it to Mentis here on the near wing side. Turned over, Minnesota coming back with Curl. Curl dropping it back for Cava. Cava pulls up, tries to feed it back for Curl down low, broken up by Tabin, who works it toward the wall, but then Minnesota gathers it back. Shot saved, Chuli loose. And now Heisey from a shallow angle got it away toward the net. And now picked up in the slot. Montreal is able to work it free.
Good response after the Montreal goal. Momentum doesn't always shift with the goal. It sometimes shifts in that first shift after a goal is scored, and Minnesota comes out with some fire after giving up that second goal.
One-timer, Shisheva. Denisa Shisheva from Czechia. Down to Coyne Schofield. Here's Kendall. Sophie Jakes again, wrist shot. That got through, and Chuli was able to see it the whole way as we step aside. And now it's getting a little angry down there near the goal. Jen Gardner gets the equalizer. Montreal has tied it at 2 late in the second. Alexis, it's been a tough road here the last few days, last week for the people in Southern California, and can't help but think about it. It's just it's been really hard.
Well, and it reminds you in moments like this too how little sports mean in the grand scheme of things, and that how lucky we are to be able to have this reprieve and enjoy a game like this in a really tough time in our country right now.
Good one between Montreal and Minnesota. First place on the line in the PWHL. Montreal leading Minnesota by a point in the standings. And the Victoire just tied it up on a goal by Jen Gardner on the power play. Drive from just inside the blue line. I think that got through to Chuli. She got a piece of it with the right pad. Here's Wilgren trying to move it for Montreal. He took a check, and now it'll be Claire Dalton who works it through center. She is met by Batherson. Batherson's able to lodge her from the puck. Stretch pass to Budarak. She bobbles it. She's taken up against the wall by Keppel. Lost it to DeGeorge. Claire DeGeorge now fencing for it. Keppel and Budarak battle. Loose puck in the circle. And now Erin Ambrose again, the alternate captain on a 2-game point streak. She's been fun to watch this year. Erin Ambrose, veteran presence for the Victoire.
She had 4 goals last season, which put her tied for 3rd on the team. Still looking for her first goal this year, but does have a handful of assists, and like you mentioned, a big piece of this team.
Just a playmaker. And there's another backhand right out in front as Montreal continues to get shots on Rooney. That was Kristen O'Neill, 7th overall pick last year out of Cornell. Under 90 seconds to go in the second period has been a good one. Each team with a goal. We're tied at 1 after 1. Possibility we're tied at 2 after 2. We knew it was going to be good in Denver today. Fans are being entertained here with Professional Women's Hockey League. In the slot, broken up. Chuli looking for it. Kava's got it for Minnesota, trying to feed the front. Hands off for Panic. Kelly Panic gets it to the blue line. Step line across, one-timer. Backhand off the rebound, and it was Coyne Schofield who tried to get it on. Now Panic again, wrist shot, and there's Coyne Schofield again trying to make a screen for the goaltender.
Well, Minnesota's thrown everything that they've got at Chuli here today, and they're not trying to make that extra pass we saw them trying to make the other night. Today they've just been shooting and cycling, and that's all there is to it sometimes, and we're tied up at a tight one here late.
Off the face-off, Coyne Schofield took a shot. And now a penalty. Player went down. This could be a Minnesota penalty. Shishima might be getting the gate here. With 27 seconds to go in the second.
Yeah, anytime you give a shove to the numbers along the boards, it's going to draw the attention of the official. And Anna Wilgren there gets knocked into the dasher. Shishima trying to knock her off that puck and just takes her too strong into the boards. The official watching on right from the corner, so an easy call there.
Another Royale Tiger Towel, paper towel power play. Power through tough messes. So off that boarding penalty, can Montreal get one late here in the second to take the lead? Another one that scoots just past the post. That was deflected. 6 seconds to go in the period. And Montreal, for the second straight period, is going to carry a power play into the next frame. Montreal to tie this one. And Montreal will have a power play when period number 3 begins. Rachel Toss with Abby Boreen of Montreal. That interview coming up. Plus a look around the league. Takeover tour. Denver tied at 2. Well, all new PWHL gear is here for you to rep your favorite team in style. As you can see, Minnesota's going to be short-handed to start this period. Shishima in the box, taking that penalty late in the second period. So This Tiger Tau power play continues for Montreal. They're 1 for 3 on the power play, 5 shots on goal with the advantage. Coming in, this is Caleb Barnes. Shot back to the Minnesota line. And now look at this room for Kendall Coyne-Schofield, shorthanded. Look out! What a save there by Chuli. And it rolled a little bit on Kendall, but still a great scoring chance shorthanded.
I'm just impressed she was able to get to the net. She had her back to the net, was fighting through the stick check, and somehow was able to cut to the top of the crease there and just couldn't get a good shot off for the Minnesota Frost, but a good effort to at least kill some time off this penalty kill clock.
Coyne-Schofield, 8 points in the 9 games. She doesn't have any goals since the 2 she scored at New York back on the 22nd of December, but really all season she has looked awesome out on the ice.
Minnesota's got to be careful here. Just 30 seconds left in this power play for Montreal, but you don't want to give up that early third period go-ahead goal after you had the lead in that second period. Montreal looking to score 2 unanswered.
Ambrose feathers a pass to Boreen. Boreen tried to turn it toward the slot. There's Kristen O'Neill. Had it taken out first stick by Steckline. Minnesota gets it to the wall, but not out. Held in. Taven a drive that goes off the back wall. And Minnesota's able to clear. That's going to do it for that power play. Check out our FanDuel for all the latest odds and betting markets available for the PWHL. Two minutes gone by in the third period. Montreal 2, Minnesota 2. Anna Wilgren passes it her head, chipped up to the Minnesota blue line. And now coming in, Alexandra LaBelle has it taken off her stick by Heisey. She'll feed it back to Sophie Jakes as they'll regroup. Minnesota leading in shots 21-19. Heisey now near wing side, always dangerous. Coming down the slot, and it was picked off there by Claire Dalton for Montreal. Here come the Victoire, 2-on-1 if they hurry. Poulin was coming up the middle. No pass from Dalton. Mae Batherson. The outlet pass now rink wide to Heisey. She'll just dump it in, and she'll get off the ice. Taylor Heisey had Minnesota's first shot in the overtime on Wednesday to beat Boston. Minnesota trying to get a win here in this neutral site game and move into first place. Montreal with a 1-point lead in the standings. Youngblood took a check. Boreen lost her edge and goes down at center. Here comes Boreen now. Pass broken up. There's Flaherty. Flaherty does a great job getting in the shooting lanes. There's a long drive from the point. Missed the net. Channel Watkins.
Let's go! Keep moving!
Trying to free the puck from Taven. Battle for it along the wall. Pop loose into the circle. This is Dalton again. She's hammered up against the wall. And Sheppers is able to clear it to the near wing side, where McQuigg will lug it out to center. Shelby gets it ahead. On the backhand for DeGeorge. Here's Ambrose. Aaron Ambrose with room, going right to the front. And then threw it back through the paint. Nobody there for Montreal. Good scoring chance for Aaron. And now Minnesota will swing it back behind their own net. Turned over. Another pass right out in front there, and Derek Gregg was looming. So a couple of opportunities there for Montreal, but they can't cash in. Now they'll dump it in deep. Well, Minnesota having a hard time getting it back out of their own zone and finding space through neutral. They will here, though, with Katie Knoll. Knoll, backhand through the middle. Jakes will hold it in as she pops it off the glass. Kelly Panic now. Panic pulls up, throws it down low, and right out in front was Brooke Bryant, waiting on the far side of the net. Never really got an opportunity to do anything with it. Poulin trying to get it out for Montreal. Murphy gets to the line. Thompson falls down. Now room for Tabin. Coming in. Katie Tabin backhand. Another great chance for Montreal. And now Shisheva. Poulin throws it toward the net. Steered away by Rooney. 13:45 to go in the period.
Hardly any whistles here to start this third. It's been fast-paced. Montreal came out of the gates hot. Minnesota's responded a bit. Then Tabin gets a good look on the breakaway, but we still sit tied at 2.
Dalton. O'Neal trying to chop it on. Boy, Montreal with some good action near the Minnesota net. Here's Taylor Heisey. Drop pass. Kava, backhand. Oh, goes just wide for Britta Curl.
Great pass over to Curl, who got a stick on it. The backhander in towards the net. And man, it's been a busy start to this third period, Clay, with already about 7 minutes gone by. And Montreal's definitely had the better of the chances. You take a look at this opportunity, and
that was off the pipe, I believe.
Yeah.
Poulin.
So Poulin comes very close. And then banging away, O'Neal down low, and kind of a tough save. You can see for Maddie Rooney, she had already committed to kind of the butterfly position, and that second opportunity comes up a little higher. She's trying to recover at the last minute there to make the save. She's able to keep it out.
Face-off out in front of Elaine Chuli. Looking for her third win of the year off the draw. Budarak had that shot smothered. That was Boreen. Now Budarak again. That one got through, kicked out by Chuli. Sheppers to pass it on a backhand to the front. Mariah Keppel down. The Minnesota native gets it ahead for Abby Boreen. Boreen driven off the puck. Turned over along the wall for Flaherty. Flaherty flipped it toward the net, and that hit a shin pad. Loose, turned over. Flaherty scores! What a blistering shot for Maggie Flaherty off the turnover. She's had a quiet offensive season so far, but this goal puts Minnesota in front 3-2.
Well, it was a great offensive shift by the Minnesota defender, and Maggie Flaherty's not necessarily known for her offensive prowess. She's more of a stay-at-home defender. She got a look earlier in this shift and then picks this loose puck up and fires it from the slot. Is able to beat Elaine Chuli and put the Minnesota Frost back on top here. And Clay, we were talking heading into this game, Minnesota needed more contributions from the blue line. 2 of their goals here today have come from defenders, and Maggie Flaherty gets a big one, gives Minnesota a little bit of breathing room here with 12.5 minutes to go.
Not only the first goal of the year, first point of the year for Flaherty, the Lakeville, Minnesota product. And Minnesota leads 3-2 as we're getting close to the midway point of the third period. Now we'll see how Montreal responds.
Well, it might be tough as we're getting news that Laura Stacey is out for the rest of the game. She got injured earlier in this one. You all saw her go down the tunnel there after the injury. She will not be coming back, and according to the team, it's due to precautionary measures. Without Laura Stacey here the rest of the way in this third period, you're now going to look to more depth from your lineup. Who else can contribute? And we'll see if they'll have a hero in this lineup that can get this game tied back up at 3 apiece.
Flaherty at 7:27, even strength goal for Minnesota. Claire Dalton. Ambrose will push it off into the corner to the stick of Jen Gardner. One time Ambrose. That was broken up by Himralova for Minnesota, and it's going to come back the other way.
That was a rifle of a shot, and Himralova sold out. Was able to eat that shot, and you can see her a little slow to the bench, getting some pats on the back from her teammates. They love the effort of getting in front of that one. And
ooh, that's up high, too.
Yeah. So Erin Ambrose, who's got a great shot, fires one into Himralova. And you hope she's okay. But that's the effort you love to see. Late in the game, your team just regained the lead. You're playing against the best team in the league right now in the Montreal Victoire. You know it's not going to be easy to come away victorious in this one, even though you've got the lead now, and you're going to need those kind of plays from your team if they want to close this one out.
Kelly Panic wins another draw for Minnesota. She has won 61% of her face-offs this year. That's best in the PWHL. Curl off the turnover, gets it back to the checkered line. And Minnesota starts it back through center. There's Jakes, and it's offside. Curl was in ahead of the play. We got a timeout in Denver as Maggie Flaherty has given Minnesota a 1-goal lead with 10:51 to go.
Welcome back to Ball Arena, where Minnesota just took the lead 3-2 off a goal from Maggie Flaherty. Her first goal of the season, and I'm not sure if you can hear the chants and the cheers behind me, but that's because they are announcing inside the building that the attendance today, 14,018 people in attendance for this PWHL TakeOver Tour game. That is a new record in the U.S. It's the highest ever for a professional women's hockey game in the United States. Truly incredible. Thank you so much to everyone who came to Denver today for this game. It's just one small step in the right direction for women's hockey.
Thanks to everybody in the Mile High City. Thanks to Ball Arena. Thanks to the folks at the Avalanche. Everyone involved in making this happen. And everyone at the PWHL has done a great job promoting the TakeOver Tour, all the stops, and we have many more along the way.
And the crowd here in Ball Arena, Clay chanting, "We want a team." And they showed up today showing the league just how badly they would love to have a team in here regularly to come watch. And my favorite part of this TakeOver Tour is seeing the fans wearing PWHL apparel in these cities. So that means they're either traveling to come watch these games, or there's fans in these cities already who are desperate to see a team expand into their city. So it's just been so fun to see, and congratulations to everybody here today who's getting to witness this record-breaking moment.
Out down in front now, there's Catherine Dubois, who got the first goal of the hockey game, number 28. She's been around the net a lot today. You know that expansion is coming. How fast, how soon, not sure. The PWHL is looking at these cities, and you know, maybe Denver is a good fit at some point. But
goal lead here late, and Clay, the bad news for Montreal, they've only got 3 third-period goals this season. They do more of their scoring earlier on in the game. On the flip side, though, the good news is they don't allow a whole lot of goals. So they've got a chance here late. They just got to find a way to get something clicking. And like we mentioned, if you're just tuning in, no Laura Stacey for the rest of this game, so somebody else is going to have to step up.
And Marie-Philippe Poulin is the likely candidate. Had 2 goals against Toronto and Vancouver. Her first points at Rogers Arena since that 2010 gold medal win over Team USA. Scored both goals in that 2-0 legendary win. And she has some magic in that building. Can she do it here in Denver now? We'll see if Montreal can come back and tie it. They gain the line here. LaBelle will feed it into the corner. Loose at the blue line. Minnesota's able to nudge it out to center. Montreal charges back, and they're offside as Barnes carried in, but behind the play.
You've got a chance here to stick to what you've been doing. It's worked. You've got 5 wins in your last 6 games, and you're playing against one of the best teams in the league, so you knew it wasn't going to be easy. And if you keep that faith that it's been working for you as of late, you've got the personnel to do it. You've got a great coach behind the bench and a lot of time left to work with. There's still a possibility in this one that your team can come out on top.
Maureen Murphy From a knee, got a shot onto Rooney. She's the extra skater today for Montreal. Nearly tied this game up. Now Katie Noe coming back for Minnesota. Swings it over to the far wing side where Himralova will try to move it for Minnesota, but it's taken away and Montreal can get it back to the Minnesota end of things. Ooh, Murphy goes down in a heap with Bryant. Play continues. He's going to bounce back into the Montreal end. 7 minutes to go. Past the 13-minute mark of period number 3. Kristen O'Neill over to Boreen. From just inside the blue line, big shot. Ricochets off a couple of players to the near corner. Underneath Melissa Channel-Watkins. O'Neill will take it away. She tried to feed the front. Ends up on the stick of Tabin. Katie Tabin has a poke checked away, and Budarak will start it back. Good lead pass, and it's just out of the reach of Boreen.
And then they've got a couple games coming up against the Charge later in the month as well.
Ottawa had a 3-game road winning streak before getting beat by Boston yesterday 2-1 in overtime. And Boston, Courtney Kessel's team is really starting to find its stride as we reach the 1/3 point of the season. This is going to drift through center ice. They wave off icing. Game's getting late here. 5.5 to go. You know, next goal is obviously huge. If Minnesota can get it, it might put the nail in Montreal's coffin. And obviously Montreal can tie it up.
Well, like we talked about earlier in the game, all but one matchup between these two teams have been just a 1-goal game. They like to play tight games like this, and Montreal has the personnel to get it done here, but Minnesota's done a good job of limiting opportunities for them as this game has gone on.
She said, you know, we're a defense-first team. She loves the way her team plays defense, but right now they need the next one.
And maybe that next one can come from the blue line. Maybe you can still stick to your defensive game, but find ways to facilitate offense from the blue line. Regardless, they'll take it however they can get it here at this point. It's not been too often this season they've even allowed more than 2 goals in a game. Minnesota has scored 3 on them here today.
There's a chance for Shisheva. Backhand and the stop by the goaltender Chuli. And play carries on, and the words carry on behind the net.
Well, and that's going to be the other piece for Montreal. Elaine Chuli has had great stats in the couple starts that she's had this season. They're going to need a perfect game from here on out from their netminder as we take another look at this chance. Panic feeds it out front to Shisheva. She's had a great gameplay. She's had some good looks. She's played a physical game and gets another one here late. And you talked about it. If Minnesota gets that next goal, I mean, it might be all she wrote for the Montreal Victoire. So Elaine Chuli's going to have to keep her head on a swivel here, be ready to go, be ready to make some big saves late. And that was a big one there.
Former UConn All-American. Great career with the UConn Huskies in college. Off the draw, another shot toward the net for Minnesota. Boreen trying to start it back. They get it to center, pumped right back in by the Frost.
And keep in mind, these two netminders today, Maddie Rooney and Elaine Chuli, have a combined 1 loss between the two of them.
Yeah,
so
they've both been great.
It'll be tough down the final stretch here to have goals happen in the last 4.5 minutes.
Side of the cage, Kristen O'Neill. Flipped on toward the net by Sheldon. And now Kava gets to the loose puck and she'll lift it out.
And we've seen a lot of block shots here today. Minnesota especially has not been afraid to get in front of a shot, and they're going to need that same effort the rest of the way out. You know Montreal's going to throw everything at Maddie Rooney.
Boreen dropped it back for Tabin. Shot goes high and wide.
It's also a good way to frustrate your opponent. There's nothing more frustrating than feeling you're generating chances, but they're not actually getting to the net, whether it's broken up with a stick or a body. So it's a good way, obviously, to limit the work of your goaltender, but also just to frustrate your opponent into maybe trying to change the way they play offensively.
Minnesota +11 in block shots.
Somehow that puck stays out of the back of the net. Shots on net still favoring Minnesota by just a tad here late. Montreal, I'm sure, will climb back in that category before this game is done.
Rolling puck back in the Montreal zone. This is Kayla Barnes. Had her pass intercepted. Shishova gets it ahead for point. Schofield had a couple of whacks at it. Shishova trailing on the play. Tried to bury it. A couple of great saves by Chuli.
Having to fight off a couple good looks, and depending on how this one ends up, we might be looking back at those saves in a few minutes.
Now Steckline for the Frost. Plays it rink wide. Minnesota will dump it in. 2:40 to go. Dalton for Montreal. Nobody with her, so she'll just play it into the Minnesota end. Minnesota protecting a 1-goal lead. 3 points if you can win it in regulation. Chuli out of her net. You know, if I'm a goaltender, I don't know that, you know, in a 1-goal game when it's late like that, I'm out of my net much, but some of these goaltenders have nerves of steel.
Well, sometimes the situation calls for that, and there's few things scarier than going up against a fearless goaltender.
Sheppers will lug it in for Minnesota. She's driven to the outside by Boreen.
And we'll now keep our eyes on Elaine Chuli as she's starting to head to the bench. We'll see when they decide to pull her for the extra skater.
Back to the Minnesota line. Chuli. They have to stay put for now. Here's Kava on the bench, and she scores! Michaela Kava. Huge goal for Minnesota to give the Frost a 2-goal advantage late.
I don't even know fully how to put into words how hard that shot is to score off of play. On the backhand, Chuli's got that side of the net all tied up. Watch Michaela Kava here. Just floats it up over her shoulder. Tough angle, not a lot of net to work with, and Michaela Kava somehow finds the back of the net here. Kayla Barnes just can't get to Kava in time to cut that angle off, and I guess maybe Elaine Chuli won't make it to the bench after all as Minnesota gets the big goal here to make it a 4-2 game. It's the 4th goal of the season for Minnesota's Michaela Kava. She had 5 goals last year, so already almost to that mark here. And I see Elaine Chuli still on the bench, hoping her team can find a way back in this one, but time is starting to run out for this Montreal team.
.30 seconds left in regulation. Panic took a whack at it, feeds it over there to that far side. Minnesota can't get it out. There's a long shot broken up in front. 15 seconds to go. Minnesota clears the zone.
If I'm Coach Ken Klee, I'm smiling from ear to ear right now. You got a goal from one of your best goal scorers in Britta Curl. You got a goal from Maggie Flaherty, her first point of the season. Sophie Jakes in her return gets a goal. And then Michaela Kava, who often has a great game, but like I said, doesn't always see the points, gets probably the most important goal of this entire game. So Coach Ken Klee getting contributions from all over the ice from his team today.
That's going to do it. What a win for Minnesota in Denver. Well, that's going to do it. We hope you enjoyed it. The Minnesota Frost in the Mile High City beat the Montreal Victoire 4-2 the final. Our next broadcast, Toronto and Ottawa on Tuesday night. We hope you can join us. For Rachel and Alexis on play, saying so long as the Frost celebrate in the Mile High City.